Hey guys, how you doing? It's Leonard here. So, in this video, I want to share with you 4 ways to commit to becoming an entrepreneur. Now, look, for me, I have been an entrepreneur since I was around 18 years old, which is, crazy to look back now at 30 and think, wow, that was more than 10 years ago. But I think there have been a number of things that I have done, and some have been out of, belief and faith, and some have literally been out of just pure commitment. And I feel like sharing these tips with you is very valuable because I think it's a reference point for you to kind of navigate and discover and see whether you're doing some of these traits already. And if you're not, incorporating them into your day-to-day thought process and some of the activities and things that you do just to commit you more to the person you're becoming. So, number 1 would be view your dream property. Now, when I first started my journey, I never really had anything more than £100 at any one given time in my account. But I used to consume myself with a lot of content from big entrepreneurs, from Richard Branson, Alan Sugar, real P. Diddy, real figures that were really shifting and shaping both their businesses but also the lifestyle of entrepreneurship. And one thing that I thought and I realized was really important for me is that on my journey, because I was so used to the money I had in my account, I realized that it was very important for me to break the limitations of my self-worth by bringing myself a lot more closer by experiencing some of the things that I aspire to achieve. I did this by calling up agencies that were doing real estate and booking viewings to properties that were penthouses and places and areas that I aspired to live in one day, whether it was under an alias of doing it on behalf of someone or just saying I was looking for myself. I found that by doing this that I really got closer to connecting to the person that I was working on becoming, and it became more real because I was actually seeing how these apartments were, sitting on the sofas, seeing the bedrooms, really realizing that there was really no difference between someone that lives in this kind of life or this kind of house and someone that doesn't. The only difference clearly was money. So for me, I find that viewing and putting yourself and surrounding yourself with your dream home, whether it's just moving to your first property by yourself, it doesn't have to be a mansion, or whether it means just moving into an area that you haven't ever lived in or always wanted to. Book a viewing, go and see it, commit by really taking action and making yourself become part of the reality of it. Number 2 is to treat yourself more but put a value on it. You see, so often we have a mindset of saving to protect or to cover any risks. And time to time, we tend to focus more on money being a thing we use for shopping, for travel, for petrol. And as efficient as this logic is, it's also very undermining of your worth. For me, what I found was really powerful, but hard at first, was treating myself to things that were going to empower and help me to feel better. For example, I would book spa days, which would cost something around £100, which at first was really hard to part with because I wasn't used to spending money of that level unless it was a pair of trainers which I'd saved up for months on end. But by treating myself and realizing the feeling I got and the value and the self-worth I was giving myself, I started to see it as a mandatory thing. And the more of a mandatory thing that it became for me, the more I realized I had to work harder because it was part of what I would classify in my heart a form of success in helping and healing and, of course, empowering myself. So make sure you find a way to actually, I'm not talking about doing this every week, but at least once a month, treat yourself. Make sure that it's not so logical and it's more about giving back to yourself. Another thing that I found really powerful in my commitment to becoming an entrepreneur was putting myself around the attire and the clothing that I always aspired to have one day. As I mentioned before, I used to watch a lot of classic films of successful people, and one thing that was very popular at the start of entrepreneurship were suits, and Savile Row had a lot of these suits which were, priced at £1,000 plus, and I knew at the time I had no money or had no business being in those places. However, what I would do is go into them and do fittings and try the suits and, suggest that I'll be buying it, but really putting myself in front of the mirror and really feeling how the process felt. And along the way, I started to build relationships with some of these stores because I was coming in frequently, and after a while they were questioning whether or not I was ever going to buy, but I eventually did. But I strongly suggest that you start to put yourself around the clothing and the attire that you see fitting for the person and this entrepreneur that you want to have. And I mean this in all senses. It could be high fashion, it could be, if you're a woman, it could be a bag, it could be, shoes, but go and try it. Go and, see yourself in the thing that you aspire to have, and just get yourself a little bit more closer to the feeling, because the more closer you are to the feeling, the more committed you're going to become to this journey. Another thing is try out top restaurants. You see, restaurants are a really big icebreaker, especially in conversations. And one thing that I've always been interested in is understanding why a restaurant has that price level, or why people see it at this level. And I find that by putting yourself in environments where you're actually, I'm not talking about every day, every week, but at least once a month, actually testing out a restaurant, saving some money and adding it to your palette of conversation, you're not only going to become more familiar with what works and what doesn't work for you, but more importantly, you're going to have more knowledge and you're going to be more cultured on the different varieties of options that food, which brings people together, have to offer. And I find that's a really big, value point as an entrepreneur, when you can discuss to people different cultural foods and experiences and suggest things, because it does work as a thing that people tend to use and do from day to day. So these are just 4 of my really, personal ways that I've learned and adapted to committing to the entrepreneur and committing to the person that I've wrote down when I was 18 years old that I wanted to become. And I strongly believe that if you add it to your day-to-day mindset and your thought process, you're surely and truly going to get much more closer to it and become more committed, not just through thought but through action. Once again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and if there's any other thing that you've ever done in your journey that you relate to, using to up your paradigm, or if you could suggest any other tips that people can use in the community to, of course, put themselves a lot more closer to the feeling as well as the growth. I'm Leonard Sekyonda. I'm here to provide you with sales education, orientation, and here to make sure we increase your conversion rate. Once again, make sure that you smash the like button, because that helps me to optimize the video and get more people viewing it. And remember to share, subscribe, and stay connected to the community, because I keep adding more videos. I'm Leonard Sekyonda. I love doing this, love sharing this, and I'll continue doing it moving forward. Speak soon. Bye now.